Erica Brister here with Female Leadership Exposed podcast. You can listen to this on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube, as well as Spotify. Today we're going to be talking to Deb Wendorf, owner of an HR company, and she has a background at McDonald's Corporation as well as Arby's Restaurant. And we're going to be hitting on some really hot topics such as the EEOC and the Labor Board and how that can choke the life out of the world if we do not protect the world and come up with a solution that's going to work for everybody. Deb Wendorf with On Demand Solutions right here in Hendersonville, Tennessee is joining us today, and we're so excited to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
All right, so this is the Female Leadership Exposed podcast.
Fantastic. I love it.
And what we're doing here is what my passion is leadership is my passion. And I asked you to come to join us today because of you just have this really successful life as a leader.
So awesome. I love it.
You've been at McDonald's Corporation. You've been the president for Arby's Restaurant Group. You were responsible for over 20,000 people. Like, you can't do that, and not be amazing for one. But and you're most currently, you're at, tell us.
I own On Demand Solutions.
Yes.
We are an HR company that takes care of small business that either doesn't have the finances for a large HR department to support their people, or we work with large companies and we gap fill for them.
Okay.
So I started the business 4.5 years ago. It was just me.
Okay.
Something I was going to do just to get through retirement. We just hired our 10th person in December, and we're actively growing. And I'm just so blessed.
Yeah.
I have the best people around me. And my goal when I opened this business was that if I was ever going to hire an employee, that it would be such a fantastic work experience, they would never want to go anywhere else.
Yeah, right?
And I really hope that's where we are every day.
Right. Yeah. That's cool.
It's been amazing.
Good.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
So you, where are you from originally?
I was born and raised in Iowa.
Iowa, okay.
Yep, met my husband in Chicago.
Okay.
And we have worked and been in different parts of the country. We were up in Minnesota for a long, cold 13 years.
Okay.
Then we went to Ohio and relocated here about 6.5 years ago, and chose Hendersonville purposefully.
Why?
Because it still felt like home. I mean, we came to Nashville for jobs.
Feels like home like Iowa?
Feels like home like Iowa.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
good to know.
Yeah, it's people are so friendly and so amazing, and it's a small town community attached to a really big city.
Yeah.
And my husband's a Chicago boy, so he likes the big city feel.
What does he do?
He's a physician for Vanderbilt.
Oh, nice.
For kids.
Yeah. Oh, good. He's having specialties?
He's a pediatric intensive care specialist for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keeps him out of trouble.
Yeah, very nice.
Or in trouble. I'm not sure which one, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So this Female Leadership Exposed podcast is we are really diving deep into topics that are about leadership, about female leadership. I think that with the current state of the world, we're seeing more and more females in leadership.
Absolutely.
And I don't know exactly where this conversation is going to go, and I'm cool with that. We only have a couple rules. One of them is it's a no victim zone.
Okay.
Right? So everything that we talk about is we're not victims about it.
Sure.
If it comes to being female and being women.
Yeah.
And then it's also, we try to be positive and not go to the negative, right?
Yeah.
So we want to find the positive narrative in here, but still be real.
Yeah.
Right?
You bet. I love it.
Cool.
That's great.
Awesome. So let's just, I know that prior to you coming in, got a little tidbit about what we were going to be talking about.
Yeah.
And your HR, current company, your HR company, you're recently nominated for
I
the
was.
Women Impacting the Community
I
event.
was. An amazing group of women.
Yeah.
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 I was honored.
Yes, it was awesome. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And so the HR component here that we are looking at and that I really want to dive into is human resources and how that helps shape and how it is helping to shape a narrative, good and bad, for the world and how people are experiencing life.
Yeah.
Not just in a company, but in general.
I think there's so many positive aspects to a great human resources component to a business. First, there's the government side of running a business. So you have to worry, and I say worry only a little, about the Department of Labor and the requirements of the Department of Labor. The state of Tennessee has an incredible Department of Labor, and they're very helpful in helping people run their business. But I think what a lot of business owners don't know, and a lot of small business owners don't know, is that an amazing HR department or team can help your business be more profitable.
Okay.
And a lot of operators don't know that.
Yeah.
So when you look at things, when we go into a business, the very first thing we do is we want to make sure that the business is compliant with Department of Labor and with OSHA.
Yeah.
Any business that has more than 10 people is required to train for OSHA safety, and OSHA's a significant help in businesses, because you want to go to work in the morning and you want to go back home. You may be a little more tired, you might be a little sweaty, but you want to go home in the same condition and safe environment. You want people to go to work and feel safe and feel like they have a really good environment to work in. So both Department of Labor and OSHA protect employees and help businesses run better. But so that's the very first thing we do. So we help people be compliant. But after that, then we try to help businesses understand how they can be more profitable through people.
How does someone decide how to be compliant? Like, do they go to the website, or what do they do? Because a lot of business owners are like, where do you even start with that?
Yeah, that's where we're really very helpful. And I always say to people, hey, I always tell people, if we don't save you more money, I'm not trying to just plug my business, but if we don't save you more money than we spend with you through the course of the year, we're not doing our job right. Because for you to have to go figure out, as the president of your company, every piece and every compliance piece, it would take you a lot of time.
Right.
Or if you ask Kayla to do that for you, I want you to go out and research everything we have to do, where we can come in and say, hey, here's exactly what you need to do, and we can do it very efficiently.
Yeah.
So simple things like state and federal labor posters that are up to date.
Right.
When you need to be in an E-Verify for the state.
Yeah.
With OSHA, are you 10 people or more? Are you training annual OSHA safety and training? And most businesses don't know. It's an hour a year commitment, an hour per person to teach them all the proper safety.
Sure.
So you can, there's nothing that in my business that we do you can't find on the internet. Not a thing. We're just a little faster at it because that's what we do.
Okay, got it. So it's similar to CPAs, and so I'm assuming that you have a release sign that says that you're not responsible for the HR stuff that happens in a business, right?
The only thing I say is I'm not an attorney. You know, we're not my team. We're not a labor attorney. So we educate the employer. And the final decision is made by the employer. Okay. But we certainly have a lot of experience in what happens with unemployment and workman's compensation and things like that that help the employee and the employer. Yeah. Because a happy employee, as you know, as president of a big company, a happy employee gives you better customers, happier families, better overall environment.
Yeah.
And when everyone's happy, everything works better.
Right, right. So that's good, and that's definitely serves a purpose, and your company is definitely serving a purpose. I'm going to get to the people and profit part here in just a second. But it's, so building a business from, if the Department of Labor and OSHA did not exist, would your business still be operating?
I would hope so, because again, proper people systems and processes make businesses more profitable and people more happy. Versus if we had no regulation, well, wouldn't that be nice? I don't know. Would that really be nice?
Maybe not for your business.
Well, might not be might not be good for anyone,
If there was no regulation?
Because no regulations, I think they serve a purpose.
Right, they do.
You know, to say
From the
hey,
initial,
right,
right?
to
Initial
say
starting.
yeah, to say hey, there are some things that we need to consider when it comes to wages and
Right.
overtime and
Right.
safety and
Yeah.
and things like that. So I
Right.
think that there's a positive purpose to be formed to some degree.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And thank God we live in Tennessee.
Right.
Because Tennessee is very, they're not over the top.
Right. Right.
They're not over the top.
Right. The state is not correct.
absolutely.
Correct. So tell me, before we dive into some more deeper subjects, tell me about the people and profit you're about to say.
Yeah.
Because that sounded really interesting. Because I love
Yeah.
people and I love profit.
Yeah, I'll bet you do. I'll bet you do. The makings of every great business,
Yeah.
right, is great people and great profit. Even
Yeah.
if you're a not-for-profit, because you want to make those dollars stretch
Right.
all the way to the end. Yeah. So we're in a very competitive environment right now. So if you look at the national unemployment rate, I think the last was 3.8% nationally,
Right.
and it's fabulous that we have so many people engaged in the workforce in the United States.
What did it get up to about 5 years ago? 12%? Was that
Yeah,
high?
it was high. I don't know that it was that high.
8%
I
maybe.
think it was, yes, certainly much easier to find employees when your unemployment rate's high.
Right. I go back and forth with that because I did a lot of interviews back when the unemployment was high, but I did a lot of interviews and it wasted a lot of time.
Right. Yeah.
But finding the good people just took more time
Right.
because you had to go through a lot of people that were doing interviews to keep their unemployment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So it's kind of
That's
both
true.
ways.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, now you have to be, in my opinion, you have to be a top employer, and you have to be somebody who really cares and takes care of their people to
Right.
get the best employees.
Right.
Because there's so many jobs
Yeah.
out there and people who are looking for top talent that if your environment's not great and the work isn't engaging,
Right.
that it's easy for that person to
Right.
go somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So things like turnover and unemployment rates and the big ones for me are unemployment, workman's compensation, minimized overtime, effective benefits, WOTC. Do you know what WOTC is? The Work Opportunity
heard
Tax
it,
Credit.
yes.
All of those things make
I've heard that a lot in the past 6 months. in
all of those
particular.
things make your business profitable. So the Work Opportunity Tax Credit is something that the government provides that if you hire somebody who has been unemployed or has been in the military or has various opportunities to come work in your business, you can get a tax credit for
Right.
that. And folks that don't use WOTC, I always say they're just leaving money on the table because
Right.
it's just there for the taking.
Right.
So all of those things, as you're learning more about that, and a lot of small business owners don't know how to maximize WOTC or how to make sure that their unemployment rate is the best,
Right.
you know, or that, not unemployment, but their
Workers' comp.
Yeah, their workers' comp. How do I ensure that someone gets back to work and that they're happy and healthy and we are utilizing them?
Right.
So all of those components, when you put them together, make your business very profitable. And of
Right.
course, the last thing you want is to have an employee who's treated unfairly
Right.
or thinks they were treated unfairly
Uh-huh.
and then draws a complaint, whether
Right.
it's through Department of Labor or EEOC.
Right.
Those things are very expensive
Right,
to a
right,
business
right.
and
Yeah.
create a lot of anxiety amongst
Right.
your employees.
Yeah.
So, you know, our goal is to eliminate all those things to the
Right.
best of our ability.
Right. And that should be every business owner's.
It should be.
Should be.
Yes, should
Yeah.
be.
So sometimes you feel like business owners are like, because of all the chaos basically and this everyone's so busy now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like common sense is seeming to go, like they're so busy focused on these other shiny things that are happening that their common sense, because what you're talking about is some of the
it
workers'
is.
comp stuff is common sense,
of
you
it
know,
is,
that you have to
sure.
really just breathe through and like understand like that you've got to, right? But sometimes you need someone like yourself that's like, listen, we're gonna walk with you, and it's not as scary as you think it is, right?
Right.
But business owners like need to have that same demeanor too. So maybe you're helping train business owners as well, like how to carry themselves in the same
I
way.
think the thing is when you decide to open a business and you're really good at something, whatever that is, and in your case, you're really good at pests.
Yeah.
So your focus is on pest control.
Yeah.
And your focus is not on accounting and
Right.
finance. So when I opened my business and I'm the only person, what do you mean I have to do invoicing and accounting and I have to file taxes and what do you mean I don't have an ID department anymore, right? So I didn't want to do all of those things. I just want to be a great HR person.
Right.
So as my business grew, I hired a CPA.
Right.
And I have somebody who does all my invoicing and takes care of all of those things.
Yeah.
And we have an IT department now
Yeah.
that we hire. And so I think we're so busy running our business and what we're great at. We don't necessarily take the time to dive in to all those little things that make our business run more efficiently, more profitable,
Right.
and help our people be happier.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Good. Great. Okay. So I want to talk about the topics that we are here to talk about.
You bet.
Okay.
All right, I'm ready. Fire away.
Okay. So from a HR standpoint, you have the EOC, you have the Department of Labor, right? So I did a little bit of research. I know you know these statistics. I did not know these statistics or the data and the facts until I did my research, but the dates exactly. But 1964 is when the Civil Rights Act happened, right? And then 1965 is when the EOC was officially launched,
Okay.
right? And being in the field that you're in, and here we fast forward to today, and because we had 1964, of course, you know, the founding of the Civil Rights Act was very important and much needed. But fast forward, how many years is that? 40, 60 years later.
Yeah.
And we're operating still with that intentional EOC and the Civil Rights Act. Now we've got the hashtag Me Too movement on social media and everything else. And then we are hearing a lot about females and males and the future is female and all the narrative that's happening. So how does the industry of human resource contribute to the founding principles of the Civil Rights Act and the EEOC?
I think a good people department or HR department helps educate employees on and business owners and business executives on how to treat people correctly.
Is that something that needs to be taught though?
I absolutely believe so.
Okay.
So I don't think.
So why don't they have a class in school on it?
I don't know. I think that's a great. You know what? I think that is that you're not so far off. Is we've.
It's a hard question.
It is a hard question in that, when I was younger and coming up through growing my own career, people are, I don't think anybody gets up in the morning and says, hey, I'm going to go harass someone today, or I'm going to go and make sure that this employee gets upset with me. I don't think they do that intentionally, but I think we get hurried sometimes, and we don't necessarily, or we get frustrated, whether you're the employee who's tired and I don't think I was treated fairly, or whether you're the employer who says, hey, I'm tired of Susie showing up late for work every day. I'm just not going to put up with it anymore, and we don't handle that right. But I will tell you, the whole Me Too thing didn't surprise me.
Okay.
When that came around.
Why?
Because when you do what I do, you see a lot of crazy.
Yeah.
And,
I see a lot of crazy too.
And you have to remind people that, we're not sitting around at a party at night. We are in a professional environment, and you don't use certain language, and you don't treat people a certain way. And human nature sometimes needs to be not natural. Hey, just because there's a bunch of guys and gals in a room, it doesn't mean y'all have to be, inappropriate. And the worst time of year, I always tell people when we're training for sexual harassment and things like that, the worst time of the year is Christmas parties, holiday parties.
Oh, right.
Little alcohol, a little crazy, and somebody gets fired. I mean, it just happens all the time. So,
and then what happens?
No surprises. And then somebody learns a hard lesson, and that's too bad. Which
one, the employer or the?
Oh, usually it's the employee.
Right.
But you've seen all of these high-level people, whether they're celebrities or business owners or whoever, that get themselves into a bind because they chose not to do things the right way, and it destroys careers. Right. It destroys lives, and people just don't always think before they act. Right. Again, common sense. Right. But. I'm not disappointed to see the Me Too thing. Right. What I would like to see is more common sense and a little more, I want to say, compassion towards others. So.
You mean from a female, so you'd take hashtag Me Too and turn it into hashtag compassion for everyone kind of thing?
Yeah,
or?
I think sometimes people have become ultra sensitive now.
Right.
It's gotten so far over the top.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
That people are afraid to,
be themselves.
Right. They're afraid to be themselves. They're afraid to walk in a room and say, wow, you look really great today.
You look nice.
You look great today.
You're pretty.
Oh my goodness. Is that person hitting on me? No. They're complimenting you on your sweater. Right. So.
Can you get in trouble for that?
No.
Okay. Not really. But you can.
But it doesn't keep someone from complaining about it.
Right. So what is that about?
Yeah. And those kinds of things are very costly.
What is that about, though? Do you feel like that because of the institutions and the that it's giving people a false narrative of what's right?
Maybe. Yeah. I think it has created an ultra sensitivity to what's right and what's not right.
Yeah. And do you feel like that, because sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better, right? Yeah. So what would need to happen from an HR standpoint and from a you take the Department of Labor, you got the EEOC, you have HR companies, you have these large conglomerates. I mean, you've worked for several of them, where what my goal at US Pest is, what I want to do is become a large, and what we're going to do is we're going to be a very large company, but still have the real feel. And at a lot of large companies, they're stale. The executives at the top are stale because they're scared to be real. And I know that they can do stupid stuff, but they just don't want it. But they walk around like statues because they are afraid that they can be taken wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe some of them just don't need to open up their mouth because they have said something wrong, right?
Yeah, I think people too, when you're in a high paid or high profile position, you worry about losing that. And sometimes that makes it difficult to be who you are. Because I don't want to lose my job, or I don't want to lose my position, and the freedom of owning your own business allows you not to do that.
That's true. That's true.
And I will tell you, I've enjoyed that freedom. Simple things, like I can remember my early corporate life where your hair as a lady needed to be either kept up like it is today, or needed to be short or tied back or whatever.
Were you told that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Suit colors needed to be navy blue or black.
Oh, really?
This is a long time ago.
Right.
But the corporate narrative was, you need to look the part. And
what part was that?
Well, sometimes it's the fitting in to the executive look.
That's there already?
Yeah, that's already within a company, and I think that's really loosened up with most companies.
Yeah.
Although there's still some, still some companies where you always need to act professional.
So you deal with a lot of different industries.
We do, yeah.
Which
do.
industries do you feel like are still stuck in that mindset?
The bigger the company, the more challenging it is.
Why?
Again, I think that a lot of it has to do with there's more people to affect. So when you're very large, the more people you have to influence underneath that umbrella, it's easier to do that with some ground rules or guidelines or whatever that keep that kind of all in sync as you flow information down. I'm sure when you were a kid you played the little telephone game where I tell you something and then you tell Kayla, and by the time it gets all the way to the end of the line, the story's different. Well, it's not hard for companies to see that same telephone effect if the communication isn't solid.
Right.
So, a lot of companies are really using technology to say, hey, how can I better communicate with my folks? And how can I use things like iPhones and podcasts and different ways to be able to have the folks clear up here communicate all the way down.
Right, clearly.
Yeah.
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 So from the telephone analogy here, you have the Department of Labor and EEOC they have certain laws, regulations, rules, all that stuff. So if you take the telephone analogy, you've got them making laws and regulations, and then it's being somehow assimilated, like through the internet, through pamphlets, through government agencies, business owners' responsibility to learn it, reach out, or hire someone like yourself and say, help me understand all this. And then you've got people talking about it and telling other people about it, and then they're hearing about what happened here and this has happened here, because the rise, I know in 1966 there were 8,800 discrimination charges, right? And in just 4 short years that went to 20,000, right? I don't know what the number is today.
I don't either.
As far as discrimination against, now we have in 1996, I believe it was a Pregnancy Act. You can't discriminate against pregnant women. I I don't know what that number is, but I'm sure it's enormous. I'm sure it's a very large number today because of the telephone concept, right? Of people saying, oh, well, this can happen. This is how they're supposed to be. This is how employers are supposed to be. And this is how employees are supposed to be. And you can't do that. And then you've got the agency, and then bringing up, you got attorneys that are just waiting for someone to have an off experience. Right? Yeah. So what needs to happen to get it clearly communicated?
That's wow. If you and I could solve that today, we could probably be multimillionaires.
Let's do it.
Yeah, that's a tough question, and I will tell you, a lot of that's state driven, in my opinion.
State driven, okay.
So I work with a company in California. God bless California. It's very hard to do business in California.
Yeah.
Because the regulations are so challenging.
But the EEOC, is that a state? That's a federal.
Well, the EEOC, so the EEOC is both state and federal.
Okay.
And it's not even so much, I wouldn't even say it's so much EEOC. I find EEOC pretty friendly.
Yeah.
You know, they really listen to both sides, and then they say, hey, here's this and here's that, and let's all come together and figure this out.
Sure.
Which I find EEOC as a whole very friendly. The Department of Labor by state, though, is very different. So the federal law, you first have to meet state law, and then if it's not within the state law, you then defer to federal.
Okay.
So, and then whichever's more stringent is the law. Tennessee is really wonderful state to work with.
Okay.
And I will share with you, though, California, I have a client in California. It makes it very, very difficult. And here's a great example.
Okay.
Not so much that this is a bad thing to do, it's just very costly.
Right.
So one of the trainings that's required in the state of California is that every supervisory employee, so anyone who oversees other people, has to go through 2 hours of harassment and respect training each year. I think that's a wonderful education.
Right. They need to know
And we recommend every one of our clients, when that is 10 or more, when we put them through OSHA training, we also add harassment, respect, because we think it's important. We think it's really important in today's society. It's not required by the state, but we think it's very significant. But California requires 2 hours. So they just adopted a new law in the state of California that now requires, beginning on January 1st of 2020, and you have to be in compliance by then, you have to now do 1 full hour for every employee, whether they're part-time, whether they're contractual. So keep in mind that if you are a large employer and your turnover rate is high, all right, to stay in compliance with that.
It's a lot of hours.
It's a lot of hours. It's very expensive. It's hard to track. It can all be done on a computer-based process, but not all companies have the resources to do computer-based training. And so, albeit a wonderful idea that we should educate our people, and why 60 minutes? I don't know why they selected 60 minutes or why they selected 120 minutes for supervisors, because you can get to the point and do adequate training, in my opinion, in less time than that. But that is the law now. And so my role is to figure out in this particular company how we are going to meet that requirement before December 31st of this year. So we roll into 2020.
You have companies that don't have technology that need that?
I have a company that specifically has the technology, but would be very expensive for them to purchase pre-canned training. So
why don't you set up an iPhone and do a 60-minute video and put it on Google Classroom?
That's exactly what we're doing. You know, you're so smart. That's exactly what we're doing. So We're working
But you're going
with
to charge
them.
them for it.
Well, I will, but it will, but ultimately, and once they own it, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
ultimately, it's actually, even to do the production for them is about half the cost of what it's going to take them to train every one of these people. So it's a cost savings mechanism for them.
How many employees they have?
Let's see, they are right now at 2,200.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's a good chunk of money.
It's a big chunk of money. Yeah. And their turnover rate, sits at about 135. It was a couple of years ago, we were up over 200%. So we've been able to make a significant impact on that. But
Yeah,
still,
cool.
it's
You know, in Google Classroom, you can do a test.
I know.
Okay, is that what you're using?
Yeah, something very
good.
similar to that.
Yeah, or Trainual, or they have all.
I have a gentleman on my staff who does all our curriculum writing, and he's very good at putting the testing and having that recordable and all of that. So
That's good.
yeah, he's incredible.
Good deal. Good deal. And they can watch that on their iPhone.
I know.
Like, you have it all done in an afternoon.
No. He tells me that I am technologically a dinosaur. So he takes care of all of that. Thank goodness. But yeah.
Yeah, technology is awesome.
It's great.
Because you can get a lot done. Yeah. Okay, so that's awesome. That's good. That's good information. And so the regulation in California is it can cause a lot of bureaucracy to cause a company to, what I've found, if like trying to put policies in place and processes, all that is really, really good, right? Yeah. However, what the counterintuitive counter to that is the heartbeat and the life of a business, right? Because you can choke.
Make it very challenging.
You can choke the life out of the business.
Yes.
And are they choking the life and common sense out of the country? Are we?
Yeah. I don't think every state is.
No, but okay.
But I do think that there are some states that are.
Some states that are.
Yeah, I do think there are.
We know it's coming here. If California's doing it, it's coming here. Eventually.
Eventually.
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I'd like to think that we have here in the state of Tennessee some lawmakers and citizens that help keep it balanced.
Yeah.
It's...
Do we still need tort reform?
I don't know.
For the discrimination type of...
I think... This is a very opinionated viewpoint. So I'm going to start with that caveat on the podcast is that
I like strong opinion.
Hey, I think that if a business does the wrong thing, a business should be held accountable.
Right.
And that they should make it right.
Right.
I also believe that for an employee to file something that's false,
right,
only to have that employer defend it at their cost, the employer's cost,
right,
that the person who files should be held accountable for the financial burden if their accusations had no merit.
But what if they couldn't afford that? Most people that would file something like that, I'm saying the majority. There are some that, but there's a lot that can't afford to ever repay an employer what it costs to defend that, right?
My emphasis on if it had no merit.
What if it never made it to the judge?
Yeah,
right.
And again, I see businesses who spend thousands of dollars fighting absolutely unmerited claims.
Right.
Unmerited.
Yeah.
And it always pains me to have a conversation with the owner to say, you just don't have a choice here. You have to fight this. Right. You have to defend your company because if you don't, either way it's going to cost you. So you're either going to pay to defend it or you're going to pay to
get rid of it.
Right. Even if you did nothing wrong.
Right.
And so, if there was some sort of again, this is just my opinion,
right.
So I'm sure I'll get hate mail if people have the ability to
Good.
do that.
That means you're doing something right.
But if it's truly unmerited, and it's a complaint to get back at, and or I'm going to make it difficult for them,
right.
I think I'll do whatever. that person should be held accountable for the financial burden on the company.
That's good. And I'm sure somewhere in the fine detail of the regulations that it says that you cannot file a false report, right? But a lot of what we're dealing with is our feelings sometimes, right? And not necessarily facts.
Right.
It's perceptions.
Right. Yeah.
And so we're creating perceptions with what we do and what we're allowing to happen as a country. And as I even pulled up the Bill of Rights here just to refresh my memory. I'm sure you've read them, but let's look here. It says just the freedom of religion, speech, and the press.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's you interpret that.
Right.
Right? And so there's a lot of interpretation that is going on from a government agency standpoint, and then there's an interpretation going on from a business standpoint. Then there's interpretation going on from just citizen standpoint.
Yeah.
And then you've got a lot of people making money off of interpretations, right? Yeah. And then you've got people, like you have a good heart, I can tell, and that you really want to help people, right? Because that's why I'm in business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I love people,
Yeah.
but I want to help people.
Right.
And sometimes seeing all these dynamics and seeing I don't know how to help totally with that without it being really uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I do.
So, and the Bill of Rights is, what else is on here? The right to bear arms. I know they have political stuff about that all the time. But that's where it starts, is the Bill of Rights, and that's where it's interpreted from, and then we have.
And do I believe that there are people who are treated unfairly in this world? Yeah, I really do.
For sure.
And should those people not be treated that way? Absolutely.
Right.
So, there's plenty of, I don't want to say plenty of blame to go around. I do think that we could be a more compassionate world.
Yeah.
That where I've had a very privileged life, and what I mean by that, I've been lucky and
Lucky is when hard work meets opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I really have had a blessed life. I've had great parents, and I've got great family, and I have a great husband.
Do you have kids?
No, we were not blessed with children.
Okay.
So, but I have nephews that are, just wonderful.
Yeah.
They're both just wonderful young men, and I've just been,
Are they here?
They are.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, one of them's here, and the other one's making his way in Nebraska. And,
Cool.
It's. I would want them always treated fairly in this world, and I know there are a lot of people that aren't treated fairly.
Right.
And so I think it's important that we all work together. And it shocks me in this day and age that we still have racism.
Right.
Or that people are not treated with respect for their religion.
Right.
Or that you would go to a religious place and be shot.
Right.
These things are shocking to me as a older adult.
Right.
That's
Or go anywhere in public and be shot.
Yeah.
Right.
So those things disturb me.
Oh, yeah.
They really do. And I worry about my nephew's kids. At some point, both young men will have children, and I hope and pray to God by the time those kids are older that they don't have to deal with those kinds of things in this world.
Right. We got to fix it.
I know.
Before they get older.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And talking about nephews, they're men, right?
Yeah.
Or little boys right now. They'll be men.
Yeah.
But I asked a few men before I came into this podcast today just to get some, because it is the female leadership exposed, because we're females.
Yep.
And I've already gotten some feedback about me using that term female, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Because it's an emotional topic for people, and people are passionate, have opinions about it, but I wanted to get the male or men or boys, whatever you want to call them, perspective on kind of this same topic. And I said, I'm not going to quote you, and I'm not going to, make it public or anything like that, but I just need some honesty from you. And some of the things that they said when asked about the current environment of female, how do they feel? Because one is almost 70 and the other one is 30s, right?
Yeah.
So I had both ends of the gamut. And some of the interesting stuff that they said was we've turned into a society where we're guilty until proven innocent, right? One of them said that social media is the root cause of a lot of this misinformation because everybody's an expert, or everybody can be presented as an expert. That they don't feel, because I asked them if they felt that they had to censor themselves as men, and they don't feel like they have to censor themselves, but they are definitely more aware of people and who they're talking to, knowing that they could cause a negative reaction. And men seem to be giving up because of a lack of identity, is what one of them said. Because they're having a hard time identifying themselves as who they are as men. So I think that is interesting. So I want to help with that. I want to help with that conversation. I want to help create that compassion and create that alliance as human beings and as people that we're living together, and then take some action on it. Like, what are we going to do about it? You know? And how do we help?
How can we all feel like we're a valuable part of this society? All of us.
Right.
Everyone should have an opinion that's valued.
Right.
I'm much older than you. I'm certain. Yes, I'm certain. When I was young and coming up, when I was in my 20s, I can remember in business people saying to me, I can picture myself still when the repairman came into the restaurant I was working in and said, well, I need to talk to the person in charge. And I said, well, I am the person in charge. I'm the restaurant manager. No, I need to talk to the man that's in charge. I had a good time with that, by the way.
Yeah, I bet.
But, that's not, I'm moving rapidly towards 60, but that's not that far long ago. Wasn't that long ago. And, again, I think I've had a great executive career and now a great career as a business owner because, I'm not afraid to work hard but I've had my hard knocks. I've done stupid things where I probably could have handled myself differently or done things a little bit better. But have never been afraid to stick it out there and work hard and do what I thought was right.
What do you mean, stick it out there?
Well, I mean, okay, we might want to edit that out. No, I'm kidding. What I mean is that what wasn't the company line, when I was working in corporate, what wasn't the company line? Hey, that's not right, and as the person who represents, I'm not going to do that. And that's gotten me into trouble a few times.
That's good. You're a little rebel.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, a little bit.
Do you have a defining moment that helped shape your leadership abilities as a?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I have some defining people in my life that have really shaped my career. One of those was the first female owner at McDonald's. I had the opportunity to work first ever female owner.
Cool.
Yeah, her name was Dorothy O'Brien. God bless her. I still am in contact with their son. I worked for them for a long time. He's a little younger than I am, but not much. You know, she was really before her time, and she was somebody who shaped franchise businesses for females in this country, in my opinion. She's somebody who taught me how to interact, how to dress, how to go to a business meal, how to make a deal, how to care for people. And so she's been very defining in my life, as well as that entire organization. Her son, who was second generation operator with them, also very defining. And then
Did she lead differently as a woman?
I think she did.
Okay.
You know, she just wasn't afraid to conquer anything or any time. She was not afraid to step out and say, I don't agree with that, or this is how I'm going to run my business. This is how I'm going to make an impact on this community. And she was never afraid to do that.
Okay.
So she was an amazing leader.
So do you see like maybe some other female leaders maybe are a little hesitant to do that if they are new to management or new to...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, again, people want to...
So that's the secret sauce is confidence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. People want to be successful in their careers. You know, they want to grow, and they want to make their own way. And, you know, even myself, there were times when I was afraid to step out of the norm because I wanted to retain the track I was on and be able to keep moving forward. And there are times when I didn't move as quickly as I could have because I was afraid to step out. I was afraid to try things. And then as you get a little older, I think you get a little more edgy and say, hey, I got some risk. I can take some risk.
Yeah. Learned a thing or two.
Yeah. So I've had some really great defining individuals, both female and male role models that have helped shape my career and my life. And, you know, I've just been, again, really blessed with great people around me. And I really try hard to give that back because I'd like to be able to do for other young people what was done for me.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. So what's the future look like for you here?
Oh my goodness. I'm hoping that my company is going to continue to grow. I have some great second generation people within my company that I hope to jettison the company to as I prepare to retire. I really want to make an impact in Hendersonville.
Okay.
This community has taken my husband and I in, and we feel at home here. We plan to retire here, and I want to be somebody who the community looks back and said, she made a difference here. So however that looks.
That's awesome.
You know, right now I'm trying to grow my own my little empire of business. We're stepping out into a new adventure here in the summer. We've really not formally announced it, so probably not good to do that on the podcast.
Okay. But we got good news coming.
But we have good news coming, and it's going to be right here in Hendersonville. So we're excited about that.
Where are we going to look for that at?
Right on Main Street.
Okay.
Absolutely, right on Main Street.
Is it going to be on? Are you going to announce it on Facebook or?
Yeah, we'll do We'll do a whole social media. Of course, we're going to utilize the Chamber of Commerce to really help us get the word out. Because I don't know how familiar you are with the Chamber here, but they really try hard. They've worked very hard here to make an impact on business and help business grow. So
Chamber's awesome.
Great. Chamber's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It's a great networking, great tool that we have at our disposal for sure. Well, good. Well. We could definitely put together a marketing campaign for you as well.
I love it. Okay. Yay.
And we can help you announce it and get you a lot of business in there from a social media, digital standpoint.
Great.
And then the chamber can hustle up and do all the networking and everything else and, get the community involved. But we can help you in other ways too.
I love it. Thank you. Well, we know we're going to need pest control.
And and pest control. Yeah, and termite protection and mosquito and all that other stuff. And the Tennessee Honey Festival, were you here for that last year?
I did not go. I've got to do that this
September
year.
7th. Yep.
All right.
Come on. Come on, get you some local honey.
Yay. I love it.
Well, do you have anything else about that you would like for anybody to hear about you and about just your business, even if you just want to cap it off? Because I think it's been a great conversation. I think it's been a very in-depth conversation. I think we could go really deep with a lot of different areas. But these topics are really special to my my heart and my brain because I think hard about the landscape that we're living in, and then perception and perspective, and how to make that impact that you're wanting to make. And I'm here for you to help you make that impact, and I'll do whatever I can to help you.
Well, I admire what you're doing here.
Thank you.
And I am honored that you all would allow me to be here and be a part of it.
We're honored to have you.
We have some amazing women in Sumner County.
We do.
And I believe that together we can all make an impact for everybody in Sumner County.
it.
So
Do it.
anything I can do to help you in your quest,
Absolutely.
please let me know.
Absolutely.
It'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming today.
So much. You make it so easy. my emphasis on if it had no merit.
Would have never made it to the judge.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, I see businesses who spend thousands of dollars fighting absolutely unmerited claims.
Right.
Unmerited.
Yeah.
And it always pains me to have a conversation with the owner to say, you just don't have a choice here. You have to fight this.
Right.
You have to defend your company, because if you don't, either way it's going to cost you. So you're either going
Right.
to pay to defend it, or you're going to pay to
Get rid of it.
get rid of it,
Right.
even if you did nothing wrong.
Right.
And so, if there was some sort of again, this is just my opinion,
Right.
so I'm sure I'll get hate mail if people have the ability to
Good.
do that.
That means you're doing something right.
But if it's truly unmerited,
Yeah.
unmerited, and it's a complaint to get back at,
Uh-huh.
and or I'm going to make it difficult for them,
Right.
I think I'll do whatever, that person should be held accountable for the financial burden on the company.